A man once stood in a courtroom and claimed he could cure diseases modern medicine said were incurable. Not with drugs, not with surgery, but with plants, minerals, and a radical belief about the human body. The court went silent. The doctor scoffed. And yet, by the end of the trial, he walked out a free man. His reputation transformed into legend. His name was Alfredo Bowman, but many would come to know him by another name entirely. Sebi. He was born in 1933 in the small village of Alonga, Honduras, a place where electricity was rare. Doctors were distant, and healing came from the land itself. Alfredo grew up watching elders treat illness with roots, herbs, and careful observation. For them, health wasn't something you bought in bottles. It was something you maintained in balance. That idea would stay with him long after he left his village behind. As a young man, Bowman traveled, first through Central America, then to the United States. It was here, in a new world filled with fast food, pharmaceuticals, and chronic illness, that his own body began to fail him. He later claimed he suffered from asthma, diabetes, impotence, and other conditions that doctors said would require lifelong treatment. But instead of accepting that fate, Bowman turned back to what he believed modern society had forgotten: nature. What followed was not an overnight transformation, but an obsession. Bowman studied plants relentlessly. He read ancient herbal texts, traveled the world, experimented on himself, failed, and tried again. Through this process, he developed a belief that would define his life and spark enormous controversy: that disease was not caused by germs or genetics, but by excess mucus created by acidic foods. According to Bowman, the human body was electric and alkaline by nature, and only certain plants were compatible with it. He claimed to have healed himself completely using this philosophy, and that claim changed everything. By the 1970s, Bowman had reinvented himself. He adopted the name Dr. Sebi, not a medical title, but a chosen identity, and began teaching what he called the African biomineral balance. His message was bold and unapologetic. He rejected meat, dairy, processed foods, and even many vegetables that mainstream science considered healthy. He insisted that true healing could only happen through a specific alkaline diet and herbal compounds from his list. Word spread quickly. Some came out of curiosity. Others came out of sheer desperation, having exhausted all other options. Celebrities, athletes, and everyday people began seeking him out. Stories circulated of people claiming dramatic recoveries after following his protocols. To his supporters, Dr. Sebi was a revolutionary healer being silenced by a corrupt medical system. To his critics, he was a dangerous pseudoscientist making unproven claims, preying on the vulnerable. The tension between those two views would define his legacy. The turning point came in 1987. Alfredo Bowman was arrested in Newark and charged with practicing medicine without a license. But the case quickly became something much bigger. Prosecutors accused him of fraud, pointing to newspaper advertisements where he claimed he could cure AIDS, cancer, herpes, and other serious diseases. Bowman refused to back down. In court, something unexpected happened. Instead of quietly settling, he demanded a trial. He brought 4 dozens of witnesses, former clients who stood before the judge, and testified under oath that his treatments had helped them. While the court did not validate his medical theories, it did rule that the state failed to prove he had committed fraud. The charges were dismissed. To Bowman's followers, this was irrefutable proof that he had beaten the system. The legend of Dr. Sebi exploded. In the years that followed, he opened healing centers, lectured internationally, and continued promoting his dietary philosophy. He spoke not just about food, but about history. He argued that African and indigenous people once lived in harmony with nature before colonialism disrupted that. Traditional knowledge, his teachings blended nutrition, spirituality, and cultural identity into a single, powerful worldview. But controversy never left him. Medical professionals repeatedly warned that his claims lacked any scientific evidence. Governments in various countries scrutinized his products. Some former supporters even came forward to accuse him of exaggeration and inconsistency. And yet, even as critics pushed back, his influence only grew, especially in communities that felt underserved or ignored by conventional healthcare. Dr. Sebi didn't speak like a scientist. He spoke like a preacher, a teacher, a storyteller. He had a magnetic, no-nonsense charisma that captivated audiences. He challenged authority. He invited skepticism. And he encouraged people to simply question what they put into their bodies and why. In 2016, Alfredo Bowman was arrested in Honduras on money-related charges. He died in custody at the age of 82. His death immediately sparked speculation, grief, and renewed debate. Supporters mourned him as a visionary taken too soon, a martyr for his cause. Critics argued that his legacy should be examined with caution and concern. But death did not end his story. In the years since, Dr. Sebi's ideas have surged across social media, music, and wellness culture. Major artists have referenced him in their lyrics. Influencers promote alkaline diets based on his teachings. His name has become shorthand for a deep distrust in modern medicine and a desire to reclaim ancestral knowledge. And that is where the story becomes complicated. Alfredo Bowman was not a simple hero or a simple villain. He was a self-taught healer in a world that demands credentials. He was a cultural figure whose ideas empowered some and alarmed others. He was a man who asked dangerous questions and gave answers that many found inspiring, even if they were unproven. Perhaps the most important part of his story is not whether he was right or wrong, but why so many people listened. Drive Sebi spoke to a deep frustration, to communities who felt unheard and unseen by the medical establishment, to people who were tired of being treated like a list of symptoms instead of whole human beings. He offered a sense of control, a glimmer of hope, and a connection to ancient wisdom in a modern age that often feels disconnected and artificial. History is rarely clean. It doesn't hand us perfect figures, only complicated ones. Alfredo Bowman lived his life, challenging what society accepted as truth. Whether you remember him as a healer, a provocateur, or a symbol of resistance, his life forces one enduring question into the open. What happens when belief, culture, and medicine collide? And who gets to decide what healing really means? What are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you found this story compelling, be sure to subscribe for more.